Thank you. I think it makes sense to start out at the beginning. So my first thank you is to my parents, Norman and Rosie Lair. I know it's safe to say that without them, I wouldn't be here. As the youngest of 11 children, I'm so grateful that Mom and Dad were open to having a big family. I've never met another number 11 before. So I'm extremely grateful that they subscribed to God's plan instead of designing their own. I thank Mom especially for being patient when I had to make just one more shot after all of Dan's games. I think from day one, I was meant to be on a team. That brings me to my very first set of teammates, my 10 brothers and sisters, many of whom are here tonight. I think their presence here tonight is a testament to the strong influence they've had in my life. We work together on the farm, therein learning countless values of working hard, working smart, and working together. And when the work was done, we also played together. I'm not sure if 1 week passed without some form of competition taking place. Most commonly 2-on-2 football, baseball, hockey, and basketball. It is easy to trace my love for the three-point shot back to my days of playing with Dan, Joe, and Mark. Being the smallest on the court meant getting blocked or pummeled to the ground every time I dared to go into the lane. So out of necessity, I began shooting from farther away. And with each bit of success, my confidence grew. It wasn't intimidating to play in the boys' league when there wasn't a girls' team, because playing against my big brothers was all that I knew. Another way that my siblings influenced my success was simply by playing sports. Every season, I could go watch someone play a sport. And I'm so thankful that I grew up in an era that was free of iPads, smartphones, iPods, and every other electronic device. Believe it or not, I was free to watch the games. We just watched the games, learned the strategies, and analyzed what happened during the game, after the game, on the way home, and then more at home. There were many sports that I understood before I was even old enough to play. In watching my siblings, I observed not only how to play the game, softball, football, basketball, and volleyball, but also how to conduct myself, both on the court and off the court, in victory and in defeat. It would seem, after all that I learned from my parents and siblings, I wouldn't have had much to learn, but how wrong I was. I still had much to learn, which brings me to my next group of influential people, my coaches. I believe that I won the coaches' lottery in life because I was blessed with outstanding coaches from the beginning of my career till the end of my playing days. And for that matter, probably also the teachers' lottery. Many of my teachers are here too. I think it's interesting that the first 3 coaches I remember, Pat Immel, Tim Flood, and my dad, are now all parents of Cougar Hall of Famers. One of my favorite memories of playing softball for my dad was chasing fly balls after practice was over. There were always a few players from farm families who got picked up when their parents finished milking the cows. For some coaches, this would be inconvenient, but Dad seemed to love this. He took pride in hitting fly balls that we could catch only on the dead run with outstretched arms. And when we got too cocky, he would put one just out of reach. When it got dark, we would move to the infield and do ground balls until the cows were milked and everyone's ride appeared. As for Coach Flood, our days together began when I was in 2nd grade, when his daughter Carrie and I joined the Forest Boys team. Coach taught me a lot between 2nd and 8th grade, perhaps most notably that I had not only a right hand, but also a left hand, and I was allowed to shoot a layup with it. In our many years together, Coach Flood and I developed a deep respect for each other, both on and off the court. He often gave me a ride home after practice in Dotyville, Each time I would plead with him to slow down for deer as we approached Banner Road. But since Coach had never seen a deer, he didn't see a reason to heed my advice. That was until we had Bambi just about on the hood. There was a moment of silence, and from that night on, I no longer had to plead. Coach would regularly tap the brakes whenever we passed through that area. So Coach gave me some advice about using my left hand, and I stubbornly took it, and it made me better. I gave Coach some advice about slowing down for deer, and he stubbornly took it, and it made him safer. And so our relationship grew. It's no surprise that when we were reunited my sophomore year, we had already built a strong foundation, and we were quite ready to work together again. And while I enjoyed Coach Flood for 10 years, some other coaches made their mark in just a year or two. Coach Thea Schmidt fits the mold for being a parent of a Cougar Hall of Famer now, and another memorable coaching moment has stuck in my head. Well, I usually stuck with team sports, volleyball in the fall, basketball in the winter, and softball in the spring. My junior year, I decided to try track because I knew there would be conflicts with AAU basketball, and I didn't want to be letting a team down if I missed something. It was hard to find where I belonged on a track team. There were the cross-country girls who ran serious 6-minute miles, and the cheerleaders who ran giggling 10-minute miles. And then there was me. I was just a ball player who could run an 8-minute mile. Now, Mrs. Ellenbecker must have known something about me that I didn't know about myself, because she kept sending me with the cross-country team. And I got sick of running alone and dragging behind, so I picked up the pace a little to keep them in sight. In a dual meet with Laconia, who didn't have a strong team, we drew events out of a hat, and I picked the mile run. Lo and behold, my time was just over 6 minutes. In our next meet, the 18 Cougar Invitational, Kim Wallach, our best mile runner, was sick. I have no idea what Mary was thinking, but she placed me as there were plenty of other suitable candidates. But Coach Ellenbecker put me in the mile run. It turned out to be a race I'll never forget. 4 laps. My first was strong, second solid. I was keeping with the pace, but Amanda Kelroy, a state cross-country runner from Elmira, was pulling ahead. On lap number 3, Coach Ellenbecker's voice sounded strong and encouraging, and suddenly, she was at every corner. I could feel her confidence, and my pace quickened, because I didn't want her to beat me to the next corner. Again, she must have known something that I didn't know, that maybe it was possible for me to catch the leader. As we turned the final corner of lap 4, I put it in the highest gear I had. And I remember hearing Mrs. Ellenbecker on my left and my sister Karen yelling from the stands on my right. The gap closed, and it was a photo finish, both leaning to cross the finish line. That day I took second place, but I learned of a new feeling in life. It was a high that would make drug users jealous. Running a 5:49 mile was something I didn't know I could do, and likely never would have done if it hadn't been for Coach Ellenbecker pushing me in practice, believing in me in the meets, and encouraging me. I think she ran over half the race with me. After high school, I continued to hit the coach jackpot, playing both basketball and softball for Rich Piniella at Cardinal Church University. Coach made us laugh with great one-liners, cared for us like daughters, and built a very successful team at Stritch, landing him in the NAIA Coaching Hall of Fame. For all of this talk about teams, it seems appropriate that my final group to talk about are the many great teammates that I played with throughout the years. Being part of a team is something special, and every team is unique. I was always treated with respect by teammates, regardless of whether I was the oldest on the team or the youngest on the team. And although my brothers and sisters were my first teammates, I had a teammate who survived 23 different seasons with me, from age 9 to age 18. 9 basketball seasons, 9 softball, and 5 volleyball. It's a good thing we got along well, and perhaps some of you know who this is. Lisa Immel, one of the first members of the Cougar Hall of Fame. And as Tom mentioned, in 7th grade at a sleepover, we had a dream to play our final game in the field house in Madison, where the state tournament is played. In high school, we quickly learned that reaching this goal would not be easy, and it would take a huge commitment by an entire team. Our freshman year, we lost our first regional game. Then our sophomore year, we won just 9 games again, but got our first taste of success with 1 regional victory. Our junior year, we got more people on board, recording a winning record at 14-10 and capturing the regional title. Our season was halted by Port Washington, and I still remember the "season's over" chants as we left the court. Each of our first 3 seasons, Coach Flood would take us to the state tournament to see the level of play that we longed to reach. The dream was still real, and each year, more teammates got on board. We knew that in order to reach the goal, we needed all 12 players to contribute and feel important. Our vision kept us out of trouble and in the gym. And our senior season was indeed a memorable one. I have a feeling that many of you remember it, too. How many of you followed our state tournament run? All right. We finished the regular season 18-2, and we're poised for a state tournament run. We got our first test against Waupun, narrowly escaping with a 48-46 overtime win. We won the regional championship, and we're ready to do to Port Washington what they had done to us just a year earlier. This game was another fight, again going to overtime. This time, it was Port Washington's season that was over. Then 1 more victory sent us to state, where our dream was realized. We beat 2 Rivers at state to advance to the state championship against McFarland. This was another great game, played before 10,000 people, the experience that every young athlete dreams about. It was another photo finish and another 2nd place finish, but what an amazing accomplishment. 24-3, with our only losses coming to state champions. The hardest part was accepting that it was over. I remember Coach Flood saying there were 88 teams in Division II, and 86 of them were home wishing they were us, holding the silver ball. Winning feels great, but sometimes coming in second teaches us to appreciate the opportunity, to remember that it's a game, to revel in the joy of competing against the very best. And that is a feeling and a season that I will never forget. I'm certain that I'm not the only one who holds that season close. When I arrived at Stritch, one of the assistant coaches began talking about it. He intended to watch 1 game or 2, but he remembered all of the games. And so I asked him, I said, "Coach Rem, weren't you supposed to recruit other people?" He said yes, but he was so attached to our team that he decided to come to every game. He said he never enjoyed watching a team as much as he enjoyed watching ours. During and following our state tournament run, we held several pep rallies where people asked questions and our team addressed large crowds of people on a microphone. One question I recall was, "Why are you always smiling when you're playing basketball?" I thought about it and realized how easy it was to answer. I thought about what's most important to me: my faith, my family, my friends, and sports. On the basketball court, I was playing a game I love with my friends. My family was there supporting me, and my faith is always with me, giving me something to believe in when I didn't believe in myself. When I have all of those things, I feel happy. And that's why I played basketball and continue to play basketball with a smile on my face. I loved playing for Campbellsport High School, and it has filled me with joy to recount those memories and share them with you. This is an honor that I am truly humbled and grateful to receive, and another day that I will never forget. Thank you.